Hello everyone, and welcome to your lesson today on how to check your solutions to equations. So let's start off with a basic equation to review. Let's say that you have 8 equals 3g minus 4. Now I'm not going to go ahead and write the steps on the right hand side. I assume that you watched the other videos before this and you know them by heart by now. So let's start. Step 1, I'm going to draw my scale, I'm going to draw my balance through the equal sign. Step 2, I'm going to identify what the variable is, and then I'm going to see which number is furthest away from the variable. Is it the 3 or is it the 4? That's correct, it's the 4. Now I'm going to eliminate the 4 by doing its opposite. What's the opposite of minus 4? Plus. The opposite of minus 4 is plus 4. Step 3, if I do it on one side, I have to do it on the other. So I'm going to go to the other side of my scale and draw the plus 4 there as well. Now let's keep on solving. 8 plus 4 is going to be 12. Bring down the equal sign. I can bring down the 3 and the g. I haven't touched that. And then negative 4 plus 4, well, they're going to cancel out. They're going to give me 0. They're opposites. I don't have to write a 0 down. All right, 12 equals 3g. I'm nearly done. Step 4 is to leave the variable alone. The 3 and the g right now are next to each other. If they're next to each other with no sign in between them, they are multiplying. So the opposite of multiplying by 3, if I want to eliminate, the opposite of multiply is divide. Remember, multiply and divide are opposites. Okay? Now, like I said, the opposite of multiply by 3 is divide by 3. And if I do it on one side, I have to do it on the other as well. Okay, 12 divided by 3 is 4. Bring down the equal sign, 3 divided by 3, it cancels out, it gives me the invisible number of 1. Bring down my g. My answer is 4. Now let's say I wanted to check this because I was unsure, right? Here's how I check it. Step 1, I rewrite my equation. 8 equals 3g minus 4. Now, remember your g is your variable, so this is what you're going to do. You see how here you arrived at the conclusion that g equals 4? You're going to go over here to your equation and you're going to replace the g with the 4. Everything else will stay the same, but you're replacing the g with the 4. So 8 equals 3 and the minus 4, that all stays the same, but you're going to write the 4 instead of g. Now this is very important. You cannot just write it like this. It's not 34. No, it's 3 times 4. Remember, this is 3 times g. It's 3 times 4. You must put in parentheses when you insert your number for your variable so you know that you're multiplying and you don't get confused. Now, let's think back to PEMDAS. Okay, so PEMDAS, now all I have to do is draw my balance, draw my scale, and I solve. Okay, there is no parentheses, there are no exponents, there is multiplication. 3 times 4 is what? 3 times 4 is 12. Okay, now let me move on down. So my multiplication is done, there are no division, there's no addition, but there is subtraction. 12 minus 4 is 8. Boom, let me bring down the equal sign, and 8 does equal 8. Both sides of my equation, both sides of my balance of my scale, they equal each other. So this is correct. Let's move on to another example, okay? Let's say, I erased part of my title. Let's say that I give you 4y plus 10 equals 30. And here I'm going to make your life easier for you. I'm going to tell you the solution, y equals 8. My only request is that you check the solution. See if I'm wrong. Alright, well, let's solve. Step 1, I draw the line, I draw the balance through my equal sign. Step 2, I identify what my variable is. And I see which number is furthest away from it. Is it the 4 or is it the 10? The number furthest away is the 10. Now what's the opposite of plus 10? Minus 10. And remember, if I do it on the left, I have to do it on the right. Okay, so I can bring down my 4. and my y. I haven't touched those. 10 minus 10, well, those cancel out. They're opposites. They give me 0. I don't have to write anything down. I bring down my equal sign, and then 30 minus 10 is 20. Remember, I'm not done yet. I need step 4 of how to solve an equation. Step 4 is to leave the variable alone. So right now, the variable is not alone. The 4 and the y are next to each other. They're touching. There's no sign between them. Right now, they're multiplying. The opposite of multiply is divide. If I divide on the left, I must divide on the right as well. 4 divided by 4, that cancels out. It gives me 1, the invisible number. I don't need to write that down. Let me bring down the y. Let me bring down the equal sign. And 20 divided by 4 is 5. Wait a minute. I'm supposed to have found out that y equals 8. It didn't equal 8. Y equals 5. This is wrong. You know, there's another way I could have solved this too. I used this method to check, right? I just solved it usually, and I saw if that was the correct answer. But I could have done something else. Let's say I go back to my original equation. My original equation has 4y plus 10 equals 30. What I could have done is I could have identified the y and then plugged in 8 for y. So let's go ahead and give it a try. I could have also done 4, and then I'm replacing the y with 8, remember those parentheses, plus 10 equals 30. Okay, remember PEMDAS. Okay, well, are there any parentheses? No. Exponents? No. Division? No. Multiplication? Yes. 4 times 8 is 32. Okay, so 32 plus 10 equals 30. Is there any subtraction? No. Addition? Yes. 32 plus 10 is 42. 42 is not the same as 30. This is wrong. Those are both ways that you could check the equation. Now let's move on to a third and final example. Okay, so let's say I tell you, here's an equation. 43 equals 7 plus 12w, and I tell you the w can either be 2 or w can be 3. And I tell you, hey, solve it for me. Okay, well, let's plug it back into the equation. Let's take the easiest way to do it. First of all, let me draw my balance there. Okay, let's try w equals 2 first. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to rewrite the equation, but I'm going to use a 2 wherever there's a w. And remember, I need to draw parentheses. Perfect. So, once again, let's go with PEMDAS. Okay, so are there any parentheses? No. Exponents? No. Division? No. Multiplication? Yes. 12 times 2 is 24. Okay. Everything else stays the same. Okay, is there any subtraction? No. Any addition? Yes. 7 plus 24? Well, 7 plus 24 is going to be 31. 31 is not the same as 43. This is wrong. W equals 2 is wrong. So let's go ahead and check W equals 3. Yeah? Alright. Step 1 is going to be that I draw out the balance. And now I'm going to rewrite everything. 43 equals 7 plus 12. But now where the W is, I'm going to plug in a 3. Okay. Now, let's review. PEMDAS, are there any parentheses? No. Exponents? No. Division? No. Multiplication? Yes. 12 times 3 is 36. Okay. Everything else stays the same. Subtraction? No. Addition? Yes. 7 plus 36 would be 43. And since both sides equal each other, it's correct. W is 3. That's your solution. And that's how to check the solution to an equation.